What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with a reaction to the 2020 NFL Pro Bowl rosters. The Pro Bowl selections for the AFC and the NFC. And because I just watched myself be eliminated in my fantasy semifinal because the Pittsburgh Steelers couldn't score 20 points on the Cincinnati Bengals, I will be reacting and taking my anger out on these Pro Bowl rosters. I have not looked at them. I've seen a couple of players through Twitter and things that have made each roster, but I haven't seen the entirety of the roster. So this is definitely going to come by a surprise to me, and this is my first reaction to seeing the entirety of all the players that have been selected to the Pro Bowl for 2020. Remember, guys, when I selected my Pro Bowl teams for the AFC and the NFC and I did my own voting, I said this is important because 20 years from now, when kids are looking at Pro Football Reference, or when Hall of Fame voters are looking at Pro Football Reference and they need to determine who's going to get in the Hall of Fame, or these kids are looking at who is great in this era, they're going to look at Pro Bowl votes. As much as you want to say it doesn't matter, it does matter. So let's talk about it, let's react to it, and let's get into it. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so this is the Pro Bowl rosters for the AFC and the NFC here. Let's take a look at the AFC roster. The quarterback position, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson. That sounds about right to me. That sounds pretty good to me. Those are the three best quarterbacks in the AFC. I don't even see anyone else that you would really vote into the Pro Bowl in the AFC. There's been some guys that have had some good seasons. Like, I'm surprised maybe Justin Herbert as a rookie who's been sensational this year didn't actually make it. Maybe he was close, I'm not sure. But I am glad and I am happy that NFL fans recognize that even though he is losing, Deshaun Watson deserves that Pro Bowl vote. Obviously, you have Lamar Jackson. Maybe from the early season, people were hyping up Ben Roethlisberger, but obviously we see now that he doesn't deserve it. Derek Carr's been having a good year. He deserves a shout out, but those are definitely the three. I think Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, both MVP candidates. And as I've said before, Deshaun Watson is the truest sense of MVP, even though his team isn't very good. Running back position, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs. I love Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb as the two selections, but Josh Jacobs, that strikes me as not the greatest pick that you could have gone with there. Now, the AFC is a little weaker. I like Josh Jacobs. I think I might have even voted for Josh Jacobs, but recently, since I voted for him, he hasn't been playing that well. So maybe I'm kind of looking at recency bias for the reason I wouldn't vote him in. But going through the AFC, I don't really know who else you would take there. Right? The better teams, the Ravens don't really have one true running back like Mark Ingram from last year. The Browns have Nick Chubb. The Titans have Derrick Henry. The Colts don't really have a guy. The Chiefs don't really have a guy. Austin Eckler's been injured. The Patriots don't have anyone. The Dolphins don't have anyone. The Bills don't have anyone. So it's really a difficult conference. I mean, maybe you go with Robinson from Jacksonville, but I don't really know who else would even be in the contention there. So AFC just generally for the running back position is very running back by committee, which is interesting. I guess Josh Jacobs would be purely the most talented. I think the third best running back might be Austin Eckler, but because he was hurt, you can't really put him in there. So I get it. Wide receiver positions, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Brown. That sounds pretty good to me. Off the top, Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in the sport. Stephon Diggs is receiving yards off the charts. I mean, the most in the league this year, and he's been so crucial and so important and so valuable to the Bills. So I like that selection as well. Those are clearly the top two. I think Keenan Allen has had an awesome season, especially considering he's had a rookie. He's been a big part of that rookie success. So that's almost like a vote for Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. So I like that. When you look at the A.J. Brown pick, I think A.J. Brown is a game breaker. I'm not sure if he would be that fourth selection or not. Again, I would have to go through each and every roster. But when you go through the AFC East, right? They got Stephon Diggs. Nobody else really in that division that I would consider an elite talent at the receiver position. The AFC North, the Steelers receivers all eat into each other's production. I don't think any of them individually deserve it, although Chase Claypool earlier in the season might have gotten the hype to get some votes. The Ravens, nobody. The Bengals, nobody. They all eat into each other's work as well. Maybe Tyler Boyd, but he's on the Bengals, so nobody knows. The Colts don't have anyone. The Texans, maybe Will Fuller, but he got hurt and he got suspended. I'm just so used to Will Fuller getting hurt. I'm just going to be honest. Nobody else, though. The AFC West, right? You got Hill. Nobody on the Broncos. Cortland Sutton's been hurt for the whole year. The Raiders don't really have anyone. So I guess A.J. Brown's the right pick there. So maybe I was a little skeptical at first, but when you really think about it, he's the right pick. Tight end, Travis Kelsey and Darren Waller. Those are clear and obvious. Not going to spend much time there, but Darren Waller's super underrated. I think because he plays in the same division as Travis Kelsey, it almost feels like an Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford thing to me, where like they're both so dynamic. They're in the same division. People don't put enough attention on the second best guy, but honestly, I think if Darren Waller was in an offense where he had a Tyreek Hill, he would be like a 1,500-yard receiver. And he also had a Patrick Mahomes. So Darren Waller is fantastic. Glad he's getting recognition. Fullback, I don't know. Patrick Ricard, I don't really know much about the fullbacks. If I'm not going to lie, the Ravens use the fullback more than most teams, I would say. So he's obviously important. He was great last year. I'm not exactly sure he's been great this year because the Ravens' run game has regressed, but I'm not going to get mad over a fullback. The tackle position, Laramie Tunsil, not a bad selection there. He's a very good pass blocker. He has improved the Texans' offensive line. I'm not sure I would pick him, though. Eric Fisher and Orlando Brown is where I have a problem. This is where the Pro Bowl really gets these positions just flat out wrong, because a lot of it is reliant on fan vote, and they just vote in the most popular teams, like Eric Fisher, Orlando Brown. These are guys that people know from playing on the Chiefs and the Ravens. But are they two of the top 3 tackles in the AFC? No, not even close. There are better tackles in the AFC. I think you could go through a lot of teams. I mean, you could go to both of the Patriots tackles this year. They're probably better than Eric Fisher or Orlando Brown, to be honest. You could pick Mekhi Becton, the rookie left tackle for the Jets, who I think's been phenomenal. The AFC North, you could probably look at the Browns, possibly with Conklin there. Broncos, Garrett Bowles has been really good. Trent Brown is good when he plays, but he doesn't play all the time. The AFC South, Jacksonville, no. Texans, you got Tunsil. I think that's about it. I don't think I'm missing anybody. So I'm not saying these players are bad, but I do feel like there are better selections than Fisher and Brown this year, especially Eric Fisher, who I just don't think has ever been an elite player. I think he's good, but I don't think he's ever been above average. Maybe this has been one of his better years of his career, so that's fine. But yeah, I just think there are better choices there. Guard position, Quentin Nelson obviously is going to get a vote. He's popular and he's very good. I do think he deserves a vote there. Bitonio is awesome. I think his teammate, though, should have gotten a selection this year in Wyatt Teller, although he's been hurt. And David DeCastro. I think based on the Steelers' run game this year, you cannot put in David DeCastro. As good as he's been throughout the course of his career, that's why he's there. That's why he's known as one of the best guards in the league. And you look at some of these guards in the AFC. I mean, there's 2 on New England. I know I'm a Patriots fan, but there's 2 on New England that have been phenomenal this year. There are, of course, I brought up Teller. And then you go to a Roger Saffold, who's super underrated. So the more I think about it, I don't think DeCastro's a bad pick. I think I probably would have went with one of the Patriot guards or with Wyatt Teller there. I probably would swap Batonio for Teller and then put Tooney or Mason in over DeCastro. That's just my opinion. Center position, Marquis Pouncey, I don't think deserves to be anywhere close to the Pro Bowl. I mean, this might be the most overrated player in the entire NFL. Him and his brother have been bad at this position for the last couple of years. Not just below average, but bad. I'm talking about bad. If you watch the Bengals game tonight, one of the first turnovers of the game was him snapping the ball at the turf. So he's not a Pro Bowl center, guys. There are a lot better Pro Bowl centers out there. Now, I do know that David Andrews, because I am a Patriots fan again, I know that he got a lot of votes from the fans, actually was first at the center position, but did not get voted in the Pro Bowl, which is interesting. But I would probably put him in there. And then there's a lot of good centers, guys. There's a lot of good centers in the league, I think. Rodney Hudson doesn't make it. Is pretty wild to me because he's been one of the best centers, especially the last couple of years with how powerful that Raiders offensive line has been. He's a phenomenal player, so he would definitely be in there for me. Ryan Kelly's a solid choice. I'm not going to hate on it, but I do think there's a lot of good centers. I think Treader is really good from the Cleveland Browns. And who else would come to mind at the center position? I like, personally, Mitch Morris. I know some people say he's kind of overrated. I like him. And who else do I like? Oh, Brandon Linder of Jacksonville. If there is a Jacksonville Jag that deserves to be voted in the Pro Bowl, it's probably Linder. So overall, I think I would have swapped out both of the centers that made the AFC Pro Bowl team. That's just me, though. Now let's go to the defense. The defensive end position, Myles Garrett, obviously great selection there. Everybody knows him. He's a destructive, powerful player. Joey Bosa is a stud. I love that he got picked as a starter because I think he has had his best season of his career. And even though the Chargers haven't been very good this year, or kind of average, he has been phenomenal. Frank Clark might be one of the worst picks I've seen. Frank Clark has been bad this year. I know everybody knows him from the playoffs last year, and he has been a good player in his career. This has been his worst season maybe of his career. Pressures-wise, run defense-wise, just overall, the numbers aren't there, and the production isn't there for Frank Clark. I would not have voted him into the Pro Bowl. There's a number of other guys across the AFC. I don't even need to go into details, I don't think, that you could have voted in. Justin Houston, I think, has had a better year than Frank Clark. The Texans, J.J. Watt, I think, has had a better year than Frank Clark. The Jacksonville Jags, I don't think anybody's had a better year. Maybe Allen. The AFC North, they have Matthew Judon at outside linebacker. They have TJ Watt at outside linebacker. They have, I would rather have voted for Bud Dupree, even though he got hurt. I would have rather him go in there, even though he's an outside linebacker. I guess, do you have Stephon Tuitt ranked as a defensive end? Because he's had a better year, so he could have made it over Frank Clark. Then you go to even a guy like Carl Lawson, I think, might have had a better year than Frank. Frank Clark has not had a good year, which is the point. I think maybe even, I don't know, guys, that's just a bad one. Ogba, Van Oy, I think those guys, I don't know if they're technically outside linebackers, but there is somebody out there that you could have put in over Frank Clark, is my point. Defensive tackle, Chris Jones, great player. Won't argue with that one. Cameron Hayward, great player. Won't argue with that one. Claius Campbell, I think, is more of a popularity vote because I think Calais Campbell is excellent when he plays, but he's been hurt a lot. So I could see that you would be maybe a little bit disgruntled at that pick, but we've seen the importance of him when he's on the field. But it's kind of a crime to not put other guys in there that have been so good at this position, like Quinnen Williams for the worst team in football, or not anymore, but one of the worst teams in football this year, a team that nearly went winless. Quinnen Williams has been incredible this year, and he doesn't really get any respect. I think there's been a couple guys on the Broncos that I really like this year. I think the AFC South, you look at Simmons from the Titans. The Colts, Deforest, Buckner not being there over Calais Campbell is maybe the crime of the century. That didn't immediately come to my mind, but I think Deforest Buckner is arguably, pound for pound, importance to his team, been one of the defensive players of the year. So him not making it in there over a guy that's great but injured, Calais Campbell, that's crazy. But there are a couple guys that I would have put in over him. Outside linebacker, TJ Watt is the best in the game at the edge position. Then you have Bradley Chubb, not a bad pick. I think I actually gave him a vote. I feel like this is a weaker position in the AFC than it is in the NFC. Bradley Chubb's good. I don't think he gets enough recognition because he was hurt last year. He's lost some steam and some hype, but he has been good. Matthew Judon, good player. I think I might have gone with one of the Dolphins guys or possibly... I talked about the outside linebacker position already, but I feel like there might have been one more guy that I'm missing out that could have been over him. The inside linebacker position, Darius Leonard, great pick. He is arguably the best linebacker in the game. Tremaine Edmonds, I don't think has had a great year. I don't think I would have voted him in. Overall, he's a solid player. I like his talent a lot. I'm not even sure if he's the best linebacker on his team. I think that might be Matt Milano. As for who would have replaced him, interesting. I think Baker on the Dolphins has been better than him in his own division. Like I said, I think Matt Milano might be better than him. Looking at the AFC North, obviously Devin Bush got hurt, so you can't go with him. Queen was really good at the beginning of the year. I'm not sure if you would still put him there. The Browns don't really have anybody. Bengals don't really have anybody. AFC South, I love Jayon Brown. I think he's a stud. I like Rashaan Evans. I think he's pretty good, but I don't know if they've had their greatest seasons this year. The Colts have I think Okereke has been better than Edmonds. He plays on the same team as Leonard. And am I missing anybody there? Miles Jack, I don't know. AFC West, I don't think there's anybody. But I do think there's probably at least 5 linebackers that I would have put in ahead of Edmonds in the AFC. So that one bugs me a little bit. But glad to see that people think he's a good player at least. Cornerback position, Xavier Howard, who leads the league, I believe, in interceptions. Okay, I get that. He's been really good this year. I don't think he's the best corner on his team, actually. I think that's Byron Jones. So I would have picked Byron Jones over Xavier Howard, but I get it because he has the big-time stats, and he's still really good. Cornerback position, Tre'Davious White has been great over the last half of the year, but he did not play to his level at the beginning. Marlon Humphrey, I believe, deserves to be a starter here. And Stephon Gilmore is getting in there by reputation, but he's been really good when he's played. He got hurt, so he won't be playing the rest of the season, and probably, I don't think this game even is happening. I think it's virtual, but Gilmore over J.C. Jackson. I would have went with J.C. just based on this year's production, Gilmore being hurt and all of that stuff. I also think I would have put in J.C. over Tre'Davious White and possibly even Howard. I think J.C. Jackson's been a top 5 corner this year, and you could call me what you want, but that's what I believe. I also think Byron Jones deserves to be in there as well, but it's tough. There's a lot of good corners in the AFC. Safety position, free safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's cool. Justin Simmons. Yes, I agree. Now, here's the thing. Jesse Bates should be on this team. Now, I noticed that they went with 3 safeties here and 1 strong safety with Tyrann Mathieu, which is interesting. I don't know why they didn't go with 2. But they only went with 1. Interesting. I would have tried to slip in Bates in there from the Bengals, who I think has had maybe the best season of any free safety. So I would have put him in there as the 4th safety. For some reason, they didn't choose 4 safeties. That's just weird. Long snapper, don't even know who that guy is. Punter, Jake Bailey, great choice. At least he's getting some recognition. We know that the Patriots offense sucks. They punt a lot. Jake Bailey's been great. Kicker, Justin Tucker, that's obvious. Return specialist, Andre Roberts, good choice. And special teamer, Matthew Slater, GOAT. All right. The NFC side of things, the NFC roster by position. Quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he's arguably the MVP, and he'll be the starter of Team NFC. I get that. Quarterback, Russell Wilson of Seattle. okay. I think a lot of people through the first half of the season considered him, just like last year, strangely. He fell off at the end of the year, just like last year, the MVP at the first half of the season, and he is obviously a top 5 quarterback in the league, so that is a good choice. And the third quarterback, Kyler Murray, which Kyler is very popular. Would I say that he's the third best quarterback in the NFC, though? That's interesting. I think you could have a debate between him, and nobody's going to vote for Matthew Stafford, but I think Matthew Stafford is better than him, actually. But I think Kyler has had a better statistical season and what he's been able to do, and the Cardinals being in the playoff hunt, I get why he made the Pro Bowl. That makes sense to me. And I do think Brady has had just as good of a year as Kyler. And I'm surprised, actually, that he didn't get the vote over Kyler because he's Tom Brady. But it is what it is. I get it. I'm not going to hate. Running back position, Dalvin Cook. He's the best running back in the league, in my opinion. Alvin Kamara, totally agree. And Aaron Jones. I guess, yeah. I don't really know who else would be there. I think Chris Carson gets hurt too much. Niners didn't really have a breakout back. Cardinals didn't really have that Kenyon Drake breakout. The Rams, they're just starting to get Cam Akers to be the guy. Ronald Jones didn't get enough opportunity, too much taken away from Leonard Fournette to be able to be there. Christian McCaffrey was hurt. Atlanta, Todd Gurley stinks. Zeke was horrible this year. Miles Sanders, maybe. But I think Aaron Jones is the right choice. Wide receiver, Devontae Adams, totally agree. Second best receiver in the league. DeAndre Hopkins, agree again. DK Metcalf, glad to see he's there because he might be the third best receiver or maybe even second, but DK Metcalf's a freaking monster and has had an incredible year. So agree with that. And Justin Jefferson, you get that rookie in there, and I agree. I mean, if Justin Jefferson was in an offense that they pass the ball a lot, like Minnesota doesn't pass the ball. They pass the ball less than anyone, I think. Justin Jefferson has been by far the best rookie receiver this year, and I believe he is already a top 20 receiver in the league. Here's the thing. I don't know if he deserves to be in there over Calvin Ridley or Terry McLaurin. I don't think I'm missing anyone there. Like Julio's been hurt all year, so I wouldn't put him in. Those two guys might deserve to be in over Justin Jefferson, but because Jefferson has been more impactful to the season itself, like the personality, the rookie sensation, the celebrations, all that sort of stuff, I would agree that he would make the Pro Bowl for putting a stamp on 2020. But is he a better player? No. Tight end, TJ Hawkinson and Evan Ingram. I don't know why Evan Ingram's there. Like every time I watch Evan Ingram, the guy stinks the joint up. But TJ Hawkinson is a good pick. I really don't know who I'd probably go with Gronk. Honestly. Like I don't know who else I would go with. Robert Tonyan, I heard Shannon Sharp say he would go with Tonyan there. Honestly, I would go with Gronk. I think Gronk has had a pretty good comeback season. He's freaking Rob Gronkowski, and he is way better than Evan Ingram, and he blocks at an elite rate still. He's made quite a few plays this year. So I would say Gronk over Evan Ingram. Fullback, Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah, obviously. Tackle position, David Bakhtiari, Trent Williams, Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead's not bad. I would probably go with his teammate, honestly, Ryan Ramczyk over him, but I won't hate it that. But I will say, Tristan Wirfs deserves to be in this conversation. He has been unreal as a rookie. If Armstead isn't top 3, he's probably like top 5 or 6. So I get it. Guard position, Brandon Scherf. I like that pick. I think he's underrated. I like that pick. Elfton Jenkins of the Packers, good pick. Very good pass blocker, very underrated. I'm glad to see both of those guys, who I think are very underrated, make it. I don't know if they deserve to make it. The guy that doesn't deserve to make it, in my opinion, is Andres Pete, who is a good player, but to say he's been better than, like, Ali Marpet is, I don't know. I don't know there. Center position, Jason Kelsey. Yeah, I don't think this has been his best season, but he's still really good. Frank Ragnow, that's a good pick. That is a good pick. I like that pick. Defensive end, Cameron Jordan, Brandon Graham. Nice to see Brandon Graham get a little credit. Now, Cameron Jordan's extremely popular. I understand why he got picked. Chase Young, as good as he is, he's not there yet. There are a number of defensive ends that I think should have been in over him. Specifically, I would go with Cameron Jordan's teammate. Okay, Trey Hendrickson has been a freaking monster this year. So I would have went with him over Chase Young. Defensive tackle position, Aaron Donald. I don't know if he deserves it. Fletcher Cox, yes, for sure. Fletcher Cox this year, I think, has actually had a better year than last year. He is just, every time I watch him, the guy is awesome. Grady Jarrett, I agree, okay? I voted for Leonard Williams, who I also believe deserves to get a mention. But Grady Jarrett is awesome, so I won't disagree with that. Khalil Mack, yes. Zadarius Smith, I don't know. Jason Pierre-Paul, yes. I think Jason Pierre-Paul's had one of the more underrated outside linebacker seasons this year. Zadarius Smith, though, he has a lot of sacks, but his impact is few and far between. I think his sacks are better than his impact this year. He's tough because this position in the NFC is not very good. So I understand why he got in. Inside linebacker, Bobby Wagner. No, I don't agree. Fred Warner, I agree. Over Bobby Wagner, I would have gone with 3 other players. Both of the Bucs linebackers, actually 4. Both of the Bucs linebackers over Bobby Wagner, I think, have had better years. I think Demario Davis has had a better year than Bobby Wagner. And I think, well, I don't think Deion Jones actually qualified for this category. And I think Eric Kendricks is also probably better than Bobby Wagner at this point. Guys, Bobby Wagner is not the same player he used to be. The Seahawks defense has been dreadful this year. And I don't think Bobby Wagner deserves to make it. Now, Fred Warner, I do agree. He's probably the best cover linebacker in the league. He makes a lot of plays. I just can't believe that Levante David or Devin White did not make it, though. That's pretty crazy to me because those guys have been unbelievable. Cornerback position, Jalen Ramsey, yes. Jaire Alexander, yes. Marshawn Lattimore, he hasn't put up the best numbers. Now, if I was to say who are the top 4 corners in the NFC, he would probably be in there. But I don't know this year if he has been a top 4 corner strictly based on performance from this season and not just talent and me thinking of what the player can be. Now, James Bradbury, very good pick. I like that one. Honestly, I might have gone 2 Rams. Okay, there's been some really good cornerback play in LA this year. I think maybe one of those guys deserves to be in over Marshawn Lattimore. Free safety, Quandre Diggs. I don't know about that one. Sir. Budda Baker, I agree. Jamal Adams, totally agree. Jamal Adams should be a starter, though. Quandre Diggs, what? I don't really get that one. Is that fan voted? I think there's better players than Quandre Diggs at free safety in the NFC. Now, I would have to go team by team again. Just one that comes to mind. I don't know if he's a free or a strong safety, but regardless, John Johnson of the Rams comes to mind. I believe I like Jimmy Ward more from the Niners. I like Antoine Winfield Jr. more. I like Marcus Williams more. I like Bears. Eddie Jackson hasn't been the best this year, but I think he's better than Diggs. And Green Bay, Savage is good, I think. He's underrated. But, yeah, I wouldn't go with Diggs. I think there's a couple players there that you could choose from. And for the special teams, I agree with Cordell Patterson. Otherwise, I don't necessarily know if I agree. Jack Fox has been really good. Maybe the best part of the Lions this year, so I don't disagree. But Johnny Hecker and Young Wei Koo, I won't disagree. Guy's a character and the best on-sider there is in the game. That is my reaction to the 2020 NFL Pro Bowl rosters. Some interesting choices. I gave you some alternatives that I thought maybe should have got in. Some potential snubs that I felt possibly should have gotten in. If you guys want, if we get enough likes on this video, let's say if we get 50 likes in a week, I'll make you a Pro Bowl snubs list and post that video as well on YouTube. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you do spike that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you are new for more NFL just like this. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Let me know your Pro Bowl snubs in the comment section below. Peace!